On September 1st, 1920, Jabotinsky arrives in London with his wife Anya and son Ari. He's a Jewish national hero, hailed as the defender of Jerusalem, the prisoner of Acre, and the father of the Jewish Legion. Early in the next year, Jabotinsky joins the Zionist Executive, the leadership committee of the World Zionist Organization. But soon he's at odds with the Zionist leadership. For the next 2 decades, until his death in 1940, his warning voice is ignored, indeed vilified by the majority. When, in 1922, Britain's new Prime Minister Bonar Law says he wants to re-examine the Palestine issue, Jabotinsky tells the executive that it must change the way it handles relations with the British.
This policy to avoid straight talk with the government for fear they may have up their sleeve a ready and unpleasant reply, and at the same time to tell the Jewish public that everything is in perfect order. This policy can no more be countenanced.
The Zionist executive tells Jabotinsky to get on board or depart. Jabotinsky quits on January 18, 1923. Later that year, on a speaking tour of the Baltic states, he is approached by a group of students. They say,
"And what now? You have no right to preach such views and stir up young people if you don't intend to call them to action. You either keep quiet or organize a party."
Spurred by this encounter, Jabotinsky will create a worldwide youth organization, Brit Trumpeldor, or Beitar. Through Beitar, Jabotinsky will imbue impoverished Jewish youth with a martial spirit and teach them self-defense. Jabotinsky also decides to create a new political organization to counter the erosion of Zionist goals. By 1923, it has become increasingly unpopular to openly say that Zionism's goal is a Jewish state. The Zionist leadership fears that this will lead the Arabs to put more pressure on British policymakers. Jabotinsky attacks this line of reasoning. To deceive the Arabs is impossible, he says. In his article, The Iron Wall, he explains,
"As long as the Arabs feel that there is the least hope of getting rid of us, they will refuse to give up this hope in return for either kind words or for bread and butter, because they are not a rabble, but a living people. It is only when there is no longer any hope of getting rid of us, because they can make no breach in the iron wall."
Jabotinsky's new League of Zionist Revisionists holds its first conference on April 25, 1925 in Paris. Joseph Schechtman, its Secretary General, describes the office.
The premises consisted of a quarter of Jabotinsky's crowded desk in the study of his tiny apartment at number 4 Rue Marie Davy. There was no telephone. To make or receive a call, one of us had to run down and then up 5 flights of stairs to the janitor's lodge.
The financial situation improves in 1928, and in October, Jabotinsky moves to Palestine as an executive of the Judea Insurance Company. That year, Jabotinsky's best-known novel, Samson, is published. The most famous lines in the book are Samson's last message to his people.
"Tell them 2 things in my name, 2 words. The first word is iron. They must get iron. The second word, they will not understand yet, but they must learn to understand it. And that soon. The second word is this: a king."
In Samson's day, the tribes of Israel were demoralized and disorganized in the face of the well-armed Philistines. In Jabotinsky's day, the Jews lacked the means to defend themselves against hostile forces. In each case, circumstances demanded strong defense and unity under determined leadership. The next year reinforces Jabotinsky's message. In August 1929, the Arabs riot, murdering 67 Jews in Hebron alone. Weizmann stays true to his political method. He warmly praises the weak British response to the riots. In December, before a crowd of 6,000 in Jerusalem, Jabotinsky delivers a blistering critique of the Zionist Executive. 2 days later, he departs the country for a speaking tour of South Africa. The British exploit Jabotinsky's absence to bar him from the country. he will never be permitted to return. Briefly, it looks as if change is underway. At the 17th Zionist Congress in Basel, Weizmann is repudiated. In an interview with a Jewish telegraphic agency, Weizmann expresses the hope that Jabotinsky will replace him, calling him a man of great ability and quality. But although Jabotinsky is the only leader of comparable stature, the Zionist delegates instead put in Nachum Sokolov, a Weizmann lieutenant. Jabotinsky had made one condition for attending the Congress, that the revisionist movement quit if the Zionist Congress does not adopt a resolution proclaiming a Jewish majority in Palestine as Zionism's goal. But the delegates refused to even put the revisionist resolution to a vote. Jabotinsky stands on a chair and shouts,
"This is not a Zionist Congress any longer."
He takes his delegate's card from his pocket, tears it to shreds, and scatters the pieces. Nonetheless, some of Jabotinsky's colleagues insist on staying within the Zionist Organization. To avoid a split, Jabotinsky agrees to attend the 18th Zionist Congress and campaigns hard in Eastern Europe. Shortly before the Congress, on June 16, 1933, a labor leader, Chaim Alosarov, was killed. It would later turn out by two Arabs on a Tel Aviv beach. The labor delegates accuse the revisionists of the murder. The 18th Congress turns into a kangaroo court in which the entire revisionist movement is tried, convicted, and condemned. Jabotinsky has had enough. The revisionists exit the World Zionist Organization and form an independent New Zionist Organization. The New Zionist Organization will be devoted openly to the principles of a Jewish majority and a Jewish state. It will demand that Britain fulfill its obligations to the Jewish people. If not, Britain will have to go.